Hey everybody, this is CJ Miller. I'm in my apartment in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm at my desk in my apartment. The light's still low because I've not invested in better lighting. I am so sorry about that. It is what it is. Okay, so I'm talking here about my favorite franchise. Now, this is the original miniseries, the novelization of it. And as you'll see here, it says it was written by Kenneth Johnson and A.C. Crispin. Uh, okay, and so this was a Kenneth Johnson television production. Uh, and this is not the original publication of this story, by the way. Okay, so uh, the legend goes as this. This is for some reason there was a book written that, and it's in here, and I'm going to break it out in just a second. I'm really excited about this. It is about this novelization is about the original miniseries combined with the second uh, TV series, and this one is a two-part, and then the other one was a three-part, and they were combined into one novelization. So I'm going to put you on pause. I'm going to open this package, and then we'll show side by side. We'll compare some differences. So right away we can see a difference. Now, I have not counted the pages. I have just opened this up. But it seems to me that maybe maybe this one might be a deeper account of the first miniseries because it was a two-part. It was a two-movie event on NBC in 1983, and then this was the other part of it. The other series was a three-part movie event. So it's so funny that a three-part would take up more room. Oh, hold on. So there we go. I'll just stack them on top of each other. So the thicker one is the one that has 5 parts. It's the novelization of a 5-part series. And then the top one is, the thinner one is the story that is the novelization of the 2 parts. So obviously there's going to be a difference in the narrative. Now this is Kenneth Johnson, and then it was written with A.C. Crispin. So some of the original text from here may be in here, or maybe they just rewrote the whole thing together. A.C. Crispin wrote a series of these V books. He wasn't the only one that wrote the novelizations, but he wrote the. Did he work on East Coast Crisis, which was there was this. Like this wasn't here. There was this, and then there was as the series, these TV movies did really really well. They got picked up to series, and there was a 22 episode series that got picked up for a 22 episode run. And so what happened was during that time there was a commission of novels to be published each month, I believe, was the frequency. And there were comic books and things too. As a matter of fact, if you don't know, if you think I'm joking, where are they? Hold on. They are here in this desk somewhere. Oh no. Don't go anywhere. I bet I took them back into the other room. Oh, no. They're here. Hang on. Aha. Just so you know, I'm totally serious about this franchise. I love it. This was kind of like, I know that Star Wars was a big thing. Return of the Jedi, though. was that year also. And then, as far as we knew, that was going to be the end of the franchise, except for a couple of the, there was some cartoon of droids. It was the adventures of R2D2 and C3PO as a kid, as a cartoon. Uh, but it was not this. This was something that at the time, Star Wars was not really doing politics in the original, in the trilogy, the third, the fourth, and the fifth chapters of its saga that began, and then later on we built onto it by revisiting. George Lucas went back and wrote the original trilogy, the first three chapters, and then there was like the whole, you know, Disney picked it up and ran with it from there, and because it was originally going to be a 9 movie franchise, Star Wars. I do remember that, but anyway, at the time, we didn't know all that, and so it was like, okay, Star Wars has ended right around the time this came out. So I was just getting into that whole sci-fi thing that teen boys do sometimes, and so yeah. A.C. Crispin, there was a commission. I know there was a book called East Coast Crisis that took place the same time as these novels, and I guess they take place. There's this one, and then it picks up the actually, this was written first, and then this is a retelling of the first part of this. But that first series, it was like it happened in 2 parts over a weekend on NBC in 1983, and then a year later, approximately, we get the final battle, which was a peculiar name. I guess they actually picked out that name and decided maybe it was going to be the final battle and everything. And I suppose it was. But did they really know that at the time that they were going to turn around and pick it up to series? I don't know. That's a peculiar title, The Final Battle, knowing that it's not going to be the final battle. But maybe that's the way it was written and produced, and then maybe it got picked up to series in the excitement of the final battle, because it was during that run, that original run, that they started talking about. As a matter, did they do that? When was it during the first run of the final battle? I think it must be. I think it must have been, because they were talking about, it was sometime later they were going to start doing the the series. Anyway, I don't know. I remember I watched the first run of the final battle, and I discovered it during halfway through the second episode of that TV miniseries, the 3-parter, and just fell in love with it. The effects were awesome for its time. There was it was action, and not only was there action, but there was so there was some moral ambiguity, but it was also, like I said, what George Lucas did not do in that first in the chapters of his epic parts, or chapters 3, 4, and 5, or chapters 4, 5, and 6, I should say. He did not really get that deep into the politics, whereas this did, because this is basically the story of oppression, fascism and oppression, and the response to with weapons of annihilation. That it's not just about soldiers marching through the streets with guns and outmanning the the country that's there and everything, the things that's happening in Ukraine right now from Russia. Thank you very much. But it had, but it's about the power to destroy the world. There's these, the risk of that. If you fight back, and these powers that be can destroy the world, if they're crazy enough to do it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like throwing down the gauntlet, and I don't know. I mean, are we doing that today? I don't know. With like if that dude over in Russia, man, that dude's fucking nuts. He's about as nuts as um, never mind. I don't want to get into politics, but this did, and so this is one of the reasons as a young kid. And I know it's like TV program and melodrama, but it really wasn't. It was like, it was the story of the Holocaust. Basically, it strongly homaged that, and then it moved into uh, this series was more about what was happening if we had moved into a Cold War. you know. So it was like we have uh, the original series that talks about the invasion and occupation of a land that is not the land that belongs to the visitors from outer space, and then we have the second part that talks about in battling with that. You have the threat of nuclear annihilation, and obviously there was a TV series, so we didn't get annihilated in the final battle. But then there was the maybe that's the final battle, and then they sort of move into the Cold War era, which there was war going on, but in the city where this was mainly taking place, the series and everything like that mainly took place in Los Angeles, which was declared a free zone, and everything that was happening there was like sort of clandestine and everything. So it was, it kind of had a Cold War kind of complexion that I'm actually just now looking as I compare the things. But you can rent these or you can buy these things. These the original series if you want to know how awesome they are. I'll tell you that if you don't know, these aliens come in wearing uh, masks. Now, in the original, they're masks. They don't necessarily discuss the nature of the mask other than its alien technology. Uh, there's a remake, and the remake talks about the they go from mask, and they're no longer masks, but they're wearing actual living skin of human tissue upon their regular faces so they can look human. But in the original, it's more latex mask effect, and then they're wearing so it's like, and then the more they in the remake, the more they wear the human skin, the more they feel and sense things as humans do, and so it leads to the development of emotion on a spectrum that is not native to the alien. That's not something that was part of the original. That's not something that was part of the original. There were just like any war. There were sympathizers from both sides. And so and for no reason, like the aliens in the original this era, they didn't need a reason to become sympathizers, nor did some of the morally ambiguous people, humans, need a specific catalyst. Usually it was power or greed or something, or sometimes they were captured and tortured, and sometimes they were even converted, which is, by the way, uh, kind of code for propaganda that happened in Austria and everything like that. So it's very it's kind of a, yeah. It kind of these this is great, but so for at 11, 12, and then I suppose by the time I started reading the books, maybe going into it was 12, yeah. And then I actually started, without even realizing what I was doing, writing fan fiction, you know, uh, to pass out to my little friends at school and around the apartment complex where I lived and everything. Uh, and this was like in the early 80s, you know? And so here I am just writing these, and there's the term fan fiction had not even been invented. So that was awesome. But so what I want to do is I want to get into these books. I'm going to start reading them. I think I'll uh, read chapter for chapter. Like I'll read a chapter out of here, and then I'll come and I'll read a chapter out of here, and I'll see how they compare. For what I understand, this was supposed to be largely the stick to the original miniseries, the first two parts, and then kind of like round off and leave